Hey everybody, how are you? John Green here with Aaron Barney today, talking to you about digital lead performance. Normally I'm here with Scott Fisher, but I changed up the game a little bit and I have Aaron Barney. And Aaron's actually Director of Operations for Digital Lead Performance, and he's really the engine that drives this thing. So you're going to get a little different take on the subjects that we're talking about today. So we miss Scott, we love Scott, but Aaron Barney's here in the grind every day. So Happy New Year, number one. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed a nice holiday. I know we did. Got away, regrouped, refreshed a little bit, and now we're back at it. And with New Year comes new aspirations, new goals, new projects, and so forth. So you've done or are doing, as we are, preparation. You've got goal setting, you've got action planning going on, and now we're about ready to the execution phase. The planning part's not that hard. That's not. And prepping for it and so forth is one thing, but executing those plans is a big deal. And we're actually in a next video, we're going to talk about the planning and some things to be doing right now to prepare for the season. But right now, we're going to take a little look back at 2019. And 2019 was a big year.
Big year.
Right? So we launched Digital Lead Performance in May of 2019. So we're not even yet a year old, and we've learned a lot, and we're going to share some of those learnings with you today. May launch with 4 stores.
4 stores.
We did a 90-day pilot with 4 stores, and essentially what we did then is the same thing we do now. We follow up with dealers' existing digital leads. Okay, so customers come to your website, somehow they're on the site, they become a lead, and we step in and we follow up with that lead. Ultimately, the goal is to convert that lead into a kept appointment for the store. That's essentially what we did. So for 90 days, we did that. Right? We got in there, we looked at all the dealers' websites, we had access to all their CRMs, leads had come in, we'd follow up, we'd make notes, so forth, and the results were very, very, very positive. It was a success. So we said, okay, look, let's take this to market. So May, June, July. So the beginning of August, we go to market, and we've been growing mindfully at a good pace, right? Because we've got to have the right agents to take on the right number of stores. And as a small company, you don't want to hire a ton of agents and not have the business, or we don't want to have too few agents and not be able to deliver to the customer. So we sit right now, as of today, at 17 dealers. So we've been growing mindfully and slowly because we have to match the number of dealers with the number of agents. Right? We can't have too many agents because there's a cost side to that doesn't make sense for a smaller company. We certainly can't have too few agents, and we don't fulfill what we need with the dealer. So in the beginning of August, we took this to market. We now have 17 dealers signed up, on board, active, and our goal is to be at 50 dealers by the end of 2020, and we're certainly on pace for that. So let's talk for a little while about why it works. So I'm gonna kind of let Aaron tell you. We've identified some real key pieces to why this is successful for the dealer. So Aaron, what are some of the main reasons why this works?
Well, thanks, John. Yeah, one of the big things we focus on is our speed to lead. And really what that means to us is that we want to be, the quickest to follow up on that lead. And we actually follow up on leads within 3 to 4 minutes. So we know that that's a big success. And we find, we've done a lot of testing, a lot of calls, and test leads with the market. And we see that in some cases, leads aren't followed up with for hours. And sometimes, those things can really impact the outcome of that lead through the process. So our speed to lead philosophy is big for us and what we focus on. And another one is focus. Our agents don't have any distractions. They are focused in one lane. And one of the most important elements of the business right now is those leads. And some examples of that is, as we know, we're dealers. This is where this thing was born, and we see that inside the store. The phones are going off, people are being paged to different departments, there's things happening in service, and there's just things happening all over the place. And our agents are in what we call our war room, and they're focused right there in front of their multiple screens, focused on all the elements that are going to take that incoming lead along with that speed to lead and continuously following up on it to not have any distractions.
Well, I think that what's interesting, the distractions are real. We know that, right? And what Aaron said about us being dealers, right? We didn't just come out of the woodwork and say, hey, let's make a follow-up company, right? We had a bunch of stores. We started selling some stores. We tapped Aaron and said, hey, Aaron, we need you to, we saw the traffic shifting from showroom to online first, and we charged Aaron with, hey, help us set up a digital sales department. So we did that internally, and as we continue to sell stores, we thought this might be something we could take to market. So the reality of distractions in the store, the phones, sales manager sick, somebody's got to cover the desk, oh, we didn't get the photos put of the used bikes on the internet, somebody's got to go do that. It pulls people away from these leads, and when customers are online and they submit a request or a lead, they want a response right now.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing it online. They don't want to take the time to go out. So those are important points. I know there's some more.
You know, another one I'll bring up, John, is training. You know, that's a big part of, you know, when we built this inside of our dealerships, that's what made it successful. And some of that training has to do with, you know, daily training. Our agents are focused on scripts, and they're trained in those scripts. We role play those things regularly. We're internally looking at the performance drivers of the process. And, you know, those are the kind of things that as our agents are working through templates and different methods of follow-up, we're continuously improving that inside of our business.
Yeah. That's big. That's big. And so at some point, you've got these leads come in, right? We're on them quick. The agents are trained on what to say or what message to send, what template to use, and so forth. How do we keep in touch with the dealer? How does the dealer know what's going on? Because at some point we're going to set an appointment, and the dealer's got to respond to that. They got to be ready for this appointment. So how does that all fit in there?
Well, the great thing about our program is that everything we do is recorded inside the CRM. So not only are agents seeing, you know, what's happening as they continue to follow up on those leads, but most importantly, our dealers are seeing all that activity, and we're actually telling the story of every lead inside that CRM, which is really important. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but that recording of those things happening in the CRM is key. Another key element of that is we actually have a communication thread, a text thread, with our dealers and particularly the sales managers inside those dealerships. So not only are we communicating throughout the day, actively throughout the day between the agents and the team at DLP, as well as the team inside the store and the sales management team, but we're also working through
The CRMs.
the CRMs. And so those two key things, John, to your point there, the text threads and the things happening inside the CRM really allow us to communicate daily throughout the process.
And so right now, literally, our agents in that war room are inside of 17 different dealership CRMs.
Yeah.
So this is not one central CRM. This is literally, if you're an eLeads dealer or
Traffic Log Pro, DP360, a multitude of different CRMs out there.
all those different ones, these guys understand a lot about CRM. So the notes are in there. So that story is there, and it leads to what we call a successful pivot.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about the pivot and then what the store does.
Yeah, the pivot is key because as we know, the customers coming into the dealership and they've worked with, you know, our agents and so forth, and a lot of value has been established. They've seen the value of the relationship that's been built, the value in the dealership and that brand around that, and also the product itself. So as they come in, you know, they're excited, and the pivot from when they come in, we have every time they come in for their appointment, the customer comes in for their appointment, they are asking for that specific person that's dedicated to this process inside the store. And as they come in, there's a lot of things that are already prepared and preparations are done. So there's an appointment board out front of the dealership and they're seeing their name on that appointment board. The bike or bikes maybe that they're interested in are out front. Their names are on that, so that's, you know, exciting for them to see. And really, we're talking about customizing this sales process for the customer, which at the end of the day is really giving them this custom experience, and it really leverages that experience as they come in.
it's fascinating to watch this work, right? This isn't successful because of only one component. Obviously, we've got to do a good job at the follow-up and getting the appointment set. We've got to make sure the information is there, that's right. And then the dealership's got to be the recipient of that and be prepared for that and set up for the customer. But I think what's interesting, and we shared a couple of videos ago, one that Scott and I did, some of the testimonials from customers, right? Not necessarily from our dealer clients, but from their customers that work with us. And they commented on how easy this is for buying experience.
Yeah.
Right? They get so much of the legwork done, kind of the hard work done online.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's set up right, the store just receives a customer that's already gone through kind of a greet and a probe and a virtual sit on and a presentation. We've got them on the right bike, and then if they execute like Aaron said, the customers are really blown away by this thing. They're like, wow, look at me! I know where to go. I know where to park. I know what door to go in. I know who to ask for, and then I see my name on the board, and I see a hold sign on the bike that I'm looking at out front that's shined up, it's gassed up, it's ready to ride. I was blown away by the volume of the customer comments that we get back, and for us and for the dealer. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing. So that's why it works. Another thing, I think I don't know if I would call this a takeaway, but I think it's more clarity that we've come to find is really a definition of the digital sales process. And Scott and I did a video on this specifically, but we really boiled it down fairly simplistically to 3 phases. And there's a lead capture phase, which has to do with the dealer's website, how much traffic goes to the website, what type of lead capture mechanisms and tools are on there, whether they're lead forms, value my trade, payment calculators, chat functions. There's any variety of things, because getting traffic to the site is one thing. Getting that traffic to raise their hand and give us some information so we can reach back out to them is another thing. So lead capture, it's a big piece, phase 1. Phase 2, lead follow-up, that's what we do. So everything we just talked about a minute ago is on the lead follow-up side. And then lead conversion gets back to that pivot and the operations that go on in the store. And I think that the dealers we work with are happy with the results that they're getting. I know they're happy with the results they're getting, but the other thing that we have as kind of a side benefit is we do a monthly call.
Yeah.
We do a monthly call. Aaron moderates the call. I'm on the calls and chime in here and there, but it's some of our team and it's all of our dealers. And I mean, we have general managers, we have owners, we have sales managers, we have all kinds of different people on that call. And the whole goal is to surface best practices in all 3 of those phases. Okay, so we have dealers, and we let the data surface the best practice, okay? Because data doesn't lie, it's objective. So some people have great numbers, we want to hear from them on that call. What do you do to make this happen? So we talk about different website platforms, different lead generation tools. We talk about, but it's another way. You're always, what we're trying to do in those discussions is just figure out every particle that you send out, everything on your website, any kind of e-blast, any kind of text campaign, any kind of direct mail has to have some type of lead capture component to it to allow this thing to move forward. We also talk about the follow-up side, right? We get a lot of feedback from the dealers on those calls. We learn a lot on those calls as well. Guys, hey, this is working, could you try this? Maybe your communication thread could be a little bit different that way. Maybe, hey, these are great notes in the CRM, could you label it differently, this and that, so forth. So we learn a lot. And I think the most active discussion every month on that call is the conversion side.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got a lot of dealers on there, they're all in different places, different size stores, different seasonalities, all that. And they're really talking about what do you have to do to ramp up the conversion of a kept appointment.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that we just talked about. How do you stage the stuff? Who's involved? What does the salesperson know about that whole thread inside the CRM about why this customer is actually here? What's the hot button? What did they talk about? How long has it gone on? So you're armed. You're in a very advantageous position when you have all that knowledge when a customer comes in.
I think another thing, John, about those group calls is, that it's very relevant on our calls as Digital Lead Performance and all of our dealers are on there together, is that we're all focused on the same thing. We all want to drive, you said it, more traffic to the website. We want to increase our leads, our lead volume, and we want to convert more. So I think ultimately what comes out of those things daily, weekly, and especially on those monthly calls is that we're all working together to be better.
I think, yes. And I think the overarching goal of this whole thing is to sell more motorcycles.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's if we can get better on those calls and the dealers can get better on those calls, ultimately we all achieve that stuff. We all achieve that stuff together. So that's some of why it works. That's kind of the digital sales process. The term I was looking for earlier was cross lead generation.
Cross lead generation, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So different formats to continue to drive leads, but we can do another video on that on another time. So the last thing we're going to leave you with here are some year-to-date averages and statistics, right? So from May with 4 stores through December where we ended with 17 stores.
Yep.
I know we had over 5,000 leads that we handled, 5,400, somewhere in there, leads that came in. So every single one of those leads was handled by a live body in the war room at this office right here in Fort Myers, Florida.
Yeah.
So Aaron, of all those leads that came in, what percentage of those were we able to set an appointment with?
So 73% of those incoming leads converted to a set appointment.
So a little over 7 out of 10 leads for dealers we set. Okay, set's one thing. That's a great number.
Yeah.
The big number is what percentage of the set appointments were kept?
56%.
56%. Okay, so that's a good, doing this for a while, that's a good kept number, right? So we don't have a team back there that's just setting appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment. We could drive set numbers way up.
Sure. Yeah.
And you could have a kept percentage come way down. So the kept appointment's the most valuable thing. Dealers really don't care about set. They want to know how many people came to my front door that came through your process. So 56% is a big deal. And of those that came in, what percentage of them were sold?
So 22% converted to a sale from this guy. Yeah.
All right, so that's the dealers really working hard to convert a kept appointment. They're here, they're prepared, they did some of the best practice stuff that we talked about. And I know that in those 9 months, 8 months, we had a hand in 569 vehicle sales on that for these dealers. Okay, so 569 of the total bikes that were sold by our client dealers over those times started their journey to purchase through the dealer's website and DLP and so forth. And so of that 569, what percentage of that is of the total bikes that our dealers sold in that time period?
So out of the total sold, it was 26%.
26%.
Yeah. Big number.
So a quarter of the vehicles sold for our dealers for as long as they've been with us, whether again it's the whole time or just a few months, a quarter of their motorcycles, those customers started their journey here.
Yeah.
So it's great information.
Yeah.
And the final piece, good info, Aaron, it was fun. We'll do another one of these here in a few minutes on a different topic. If you want to be part of that, right, we're going to continue to get better, we're going to continue to grow, but if you're interested in having help with 25%, if you're interested in speed to lead, if you're interested in driving more website traffic, which you pay to generate, you're interested in converting that, making those leads more valuable, give us a call or click the link that's embedded in the video. Thanks for the time, guys. See you later.
Thank you.